Alright guys, welcome back. So I get video requests every once in a while. People want me to make a specific video or talk about a specific subject. Usually if one person will ask, I'll think it over and see how it'll work. But when I get 3, 4, 5 requests for the same topic, that's going to be a video that has some interest there. So today's video, we're going to talk about what to look for when buying an antique tractor. Okay, so I figured this video, I had thoughts of doing a video like this, but I didn't think there'd be much interest, and I figured a lot of my viewers know this already and know pretty well. I mean, there's guys, I'm positive, there's guys that watch my channel that probably know more than myself on certain subjects with the equipment and stuff, and that's good. That's no matter how much you know, there's always somebody that knows more and there's always somebody that knows less. It doesn't matter. Everybody's always in the middle. So anyway, I want to do a video and I want to keep it simple, and I want to keep it for the type of audience that's might be new or doesn't know a whole lot about old tractors, antique tractors. So let's just jump right into this. All right, so suppose you have some acreage and you're looking at buying an antique tractor, whether it's to rotocut, whether it's to just do a garden or just maintain your property. A lot of the older ones aren't very expensive. If you compare like a Farmall H to today's modern compact tractors, now granted you can't do as much, but I mean the price alone is just, there's a huge price gap. Antique tractors are fairly cheap in my opinion. So you're looking to buy one. What do you look for, and how do you not get burned when buying an antique tractor? Again, a lot of you guys know 10 years as a mechanic working on red equipment. I'm not going to get real in depth. Like I said, the real technical stuff, I won't go model by model. This is just a broad, general, what I look for. Let's say I'm going to buy an antique tractor. We're going to use my 1952 Farmall Super C as an example for this video. Okay, so one of the first things I look at, even online when I see an ad, before I even look at the rest of it, are the tires. Tires, yes, tires. Tractor tires are expensive. Now, on some of these older models, not so much. Super C tires are a little expensive because it's a 36-inch rim, and they were a little bit more rare, but you can still get them. I look at tires because they can be expensive, and a lot of these old tractors did have calcium in them. So you're looking at a tractor. How do you know whether there's calcium in the tire or not? Well, it's very simple. For one, you can ask the owner. The owner might tell you yes or no. And if you want to verify and double check, it's as easy as just tapping on the tire. You can bring a hammer with you or just use your hand, and you can tell if there's calcium in a rear tractor tire just by how hollow it sounds. You'll hear, usually it's emptier at the top and it's fuller at the bottom. And if it's the same density top and bottom, you don't hear it change. You can tell it's hollow. There's no calcium in there. A lot of times the older ones, they leaked. They're only about half full. The other way you can tell is pushing the clutch and hit the brakes, stop, and then sometimes the tractor will like seesaw and rock because the water in the tires, the calcium isn't full. But calcium really does a number on some of these older ones. They're sitting a long time. Rims aren't cheap, tires aren't cheap. My 395, I knew when I bought this there was calcium in the rear tires, and I knew that the tire had a gash in it, and I would probably be putting a tire on. What I didn't know is I'd be putting a tire on within the first week I owned it, when it blew out. But new tire, new rim, tube, and new calcium was about $700. So it's definitely something to make sure that the tires are in good enough shape. And you just make sure they're not cracked. Look at where the valve stem is. You want to make sure that the area around the valve stem isn't totally, it's hard to see that, but I had welded mine up, but that's definitely something to check. It's one of the first things I check. A lot of these older tractors have mismatched rear tires. That's another thing that kind of bothers me. I only have one tractor with mismatched tires, but that's one of the things you want to check into. Are the rear tires going to hold air, and are they going to last? A lot of times not so much, but anyway, on to the next thing. All right, so the next thing I guess I would check is I'd start checking some oil before I ran it. I'd look at the engine oil and see what it looks like. Now, just because you're a mechanic or know something about this, you're not going to be able to pull a dipstick or look at an oil sample and say, oh, well, this has valve trouble. It's just not how it works. You're going to have to know a little bit more, but checking the oil is always a good idea no matter what. Is it all oil? Is it oil and antifreeze? You guys remember this tractor, how the oil looked. Is it real dirty, like totally neglected, that it hasn't been changed in the last 10 years? Just look at your fluids. Same with your transmission. It's harder to tell on these older ones because there's no dipstick to pull out. There's a sight plug. It all depends on the person you're buying it from, if they're willing to crack the plug so you can see what the gear oil in the back looks like. Is it water? Is it good, clean gear oil? Oil leaks is also another thing. Depending on who's selling it and where it's parked, they could power wash all. I could power wash this Farmall Super C and it would hide all these oil leaks. But if they're bad leaks, and if you do any kind of testing before you buy it, if you run it a little bit, they'll show up. I mean, if they're major leaks, they will show up from running it. So just gotta look really closely at it while you're on the property or at the seller's place or at the dealer. Just kind of check it out. Look close at everything. So getting back to the engine, does it start? That's the first question you ask itself. Can you fire it right up? Will it start? How does it run? Does it sound like it's running like a normal engine? Does it have a miss? And a miss isn't even the worst thing in the world. I have a story about that. My Volkswagen car I got for like $500 because it had an engine miss. They thought it was knocking. Here it was just a broken spark plug, new spark plug, and I've been running it for 10 months now, no problem. So just because it might have a miss doesn't make it the end of the world. What's coming out of the exhaust pipe? Is it smoke? Is it white smoke, blue smoke, black smoke? That'll tell you too a little bit whether it's burning oil or not. One thing you want to do while it's running, does it idle all the way down? Can you idle it right down to a slow idle? Will it run at full throttle? These are questions you'll definitely want to ask yourself. If the gauges are working, does it charge? Make sure that the battery in it is going to last. Look at the date on the battery. When was the battery put in? Is it a 6-volt battery? Is it a 12-volt battery? A lot of these older tractors, guys claim, and my dad went through this, guys will claim that it's converted to 12 volt. And all they did was put a 12 volt battery in, and it's still 6 volt. I mean, they don't do the full conversion. This Super C was done a full 12 volt conversion with the alternator, the 12 volt battery hooked up the right way. The wiring's all set up for 12 volt now. The lights are 12 volts. And I think there's a diode in here that we had to put in the line so that way it would charge properly. I can't remember, that's going back a little ways, but okay, on to the next thing. So I want to talk a little bit about the clutch. That's usually your next thing you want to look out for, your clutch. That's part of your transmission. You can tell when you drive it, can you get it in gear? How is it to get in gear? Can you push in the clutch and it disengages and you can get it into a gear, no problem. Again, these older tractors are simple. It's mechanical. There's no computers controlling any of this stuff. You push a pedal that pushes a rod, that pushes a lever, that pushes another lever, that disengages the clutch. So check for what we call free pedal. Now the Super C has a lot here, and you'll see it's wore here. The bushings in this shaft are totally shot. But like I say, this is high hours on this tractor. But look at the rod here. There's a rod here with threads on most of these tractors. There's threads here, and that's how you adjust your clutch. So how much of those threads are used up? How far can you adjust it either way? Now the Super C here is right in the middle. I can adjust this right now and get some more life out of this clutch. So that's definitely one thing to look at. Brakes. Brakes are simple on these tractors. If the brakes don't work, it's not the end of the world. If one works, it's still not the end of the world. Again, mechanical, simple. Push a pedal, pulls a rod, engages the brakes. Super C disc brakes, very easy to change. Most of the time these brakes in here get glazed over, and a lot of it due to oil leaks from the transmission. Oil gets on the brakes and then no good. The Farmall Super C here has had new seals put in and also new brake discs a couple times. So easy to fix. Now, like on an H or a C, you have band brakes. Kind of the similar, it's kind of a similar design, similar setup, mechanical and simple. So it's not anything to intimidate anybody. So again, back to the engine. Another thing you can just look at is look at your plug wires, your spark plug wires, your spark plugs, your distributor. How much care was put into that as far as a tune-up. When was the last time it was tuned up? A lot of times you can tell if the wires are real old and they're bare, it's time for a tune-up, and that might have some problems, might fix some of the problems if it is running a little rough. Listen to your starter when you crank it over. A lot of it is just testing it, not being afraid when you're at the seller's house or the dealership, to not be afraid to drive it, to use it, to operate all the controls, to ask a lot of questions. And if they don't know, it's worth looking into a little bit closer. So I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of things here, guys, but it just takes a little homework. The internet is filled with information now. That's kind of why I thought a video like this wasn't really worthwhile, but there's tons of articles. You just go online, type in the model of your tractor, you can type the model and then problems, and you can read all the common problems. It's a common thing through history. There's not really new stuff that crops up. Pretty well any problems that a tractor has had, people are talking about it, people are discussing it. Also check your radiator. That can be an expensive fix. This has a new radiator. These older ones, the radiators start to really get corroded. Your gas tank, shine a light, bring a flashlight, shine a light in your gas tank. Some of these older tractors, the gas tanks are just totally rusted on the inside. So you want to shine a light in and look in the gas tank. What else can I think of? The wiring on these tractors, again, nothing to be intimidated by. There's only a couple wires, and it's mainly to do with the lighting and your generator or alternator. So easy to fix, easy to diagnose. Lots of common sense will get you a long way with some of this older stuff. That's how they were built, pretty much, common sense. So, all right, guys, like I say, this was a viewer requested video. Like I say, I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff. I didn't go really into detail about the technical or the technical stuff or the specs on this stuff, but I do have to leave here. So just wanted to get this video up for everybody that's been asking for it. So again, don't be afraid. Just got to do your homework. And don't be afraid to drive it, run it, use it, and ask a lot of questions. And ask other people that might own a similar model. And if you're really intimidated, if you know somebody that has one, ask if they want to come with. It never hurts to bring an expert with, even your local dealer mechanic. Give them 50 bucks and say, you want to go on a road trip with me and check out a piece of equipment I'm thinking about buying. That's definitely a good option. I have done that as a mechanic. I had people come to the shop and say, hey, I'm looking at this piece of equipment at another dealer. Would you come with to check it out with me and see what you think? And I've done that. That's a common thing. So if you're new to it, don't be intimidated. Like I said, just bring somebody with. I'll go through it again. Bring somebody with that might know something. Do your homework, drive it, bring a flashlight, check for oil leaks. You guys got it. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one, and we'll keep rolling on some of these requested videos. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.